Black Power. For some of y'all mad because of that last post. And you know, that's great, because I'm beyond mad about, you know, a lot of shit y'all doing and not doing. It's just a small percentage of y'all would switch up what you doing and not doing. You know, our people wouldn't be out here getting killed at the rates our people being killed right now. If some of y'all would switch up what you are doing and not doing, we wouldn't once again be getting bullied up out of our communities. You know, if y'all would switch up some of the things you're doing and not doing, we wouldn't have more of our family on these prison plantations now than we had our ancestors on those slave plantations. So, you know, in LA alone, we got 400,000. You know, we just had 1% of that, 4,000 of us, you know, consistently came forward and engaged in the actions we need to engage in, y'all. Our existence in this life would be a lot better. You know, way beyond giving your child a toy or a game they only gonna, you know, appreciate for a few weeks, and you know, maybe remember for the rest of their life. You can actually be engaged in, you know, actions that can better our overall condition. You know, again, some folks say, well, you know, toy only costs this, that, and the other. But again, when you got millions of people doing that shit and throwing that money right back to the same corporations that are lobbying and financing our destruction, as opposed to investing in something to building for our people, you know, that's why we still losing. Going into 2018, we are still being fucking destroyed. And yeah, the main part of that are these predators, these psychopaths we dealing with. But again, today reflects, you know, the insanity of this relationship. A lot of our people is financing that shit. You know, for years we've been showing and illustrating, and even throughout the years, see a lot of y'all share the information, like the information, comment on the information. But then when it comes time to act on the information, y'all commit suicide. You know, insanity. But you know, this past year we did witness a lot more people wake up, come forward. So, you know, it's a gradual process, but unfortunately the attacks against us are rapid. You know, they're being accelerated. These agendas against us are being expedited. You know, I once again included the black political agenda, you know, we laid forth at the top of this year, outlining a lot of actions that is guaranteed to better our condition. You know, this is the type of shit, even if the enemy knows, you know, and we come together and act on it, then they can't stop it. The only thing they stop is by distracting, detracting, you know, sending provocateurs, infiltrators. But again, if all who are sincere, if all who understand, they have an interest in this, you know, look at that agenda and do your part to help fulfill that agenda. Because going into 2018, it's pretty much same shit. Same things we got to do. This time last year, we were calling for and organizing a general strike. You know, a lot of folks was calling for it just on the inauguration day, you know, when Trump was getting inaugurated. But again, one-day actions, it allows certain organizations to raise a lot of money. You know, it might get some press coverage, but for the most part, one-day actions don't really have the impact we need, especially if we don't have access to nuclear technology. But we were asking for people to engage in those actions for about 3 weeks, knowing that throughout the rest of this year and even moving forward as black people, period, you know, we have to get back to building our own. And part of that is abandoning any support we have for these other folks, whether it's working their jobs, patronizing their businesses. And you know, where folks say this can't happen immediate, the reality is, you know, a lot of folks just wasted another 365 days bullshitting instead of doing what they needed to do. You know, had you taken day by day and done a lot more of the shit you needed to do, we as a whole would be in a better position. You know, some of the small things we've been showing at the liquor stores. Some of you online was telling us it was a waste of time, this, that, and the other. Other people, y'all saw out here in the streets telling us a waste of time, we need to stop, blah, blah, blah. But now they see the smallest effects of it. You know, again, people are happy because prices was dropped. You know, supposedly new owners came, prices was dropped. They hired a few black folks, you know, it's been a sister in there the past couple of days. And again, those is tokens, that's crumbs. You know, had we collectively come together, we could have taken that spot over, just like this other spot right here on Slauson. You know, I'm over here at the Deer Park right now, and right across the street by the Wiener Schnitzel is a Jamaican restaurant now. You know, that lot used to be owned by some Koreans who was foul, and we shut they shit down, and they had to sell both the Quiznos, which is now where the Jamaican spot is at, the Wiener Schnitzels, but the whole lot. And again, that happens when enough of us come together determined to do what needs to be done. You know, just want to acknowledge some of the great folks I spent time with in this park. You know, I'm up here, what's called, what we call Up Top, or the Trail. You know what I'm saying? So I got to shout out Derek Andre Harris, Bomb Threat. Spend a lot of time in this park with him, Faison. Gotta acknowledge my young brother Bear, made his transition in 2010. He was found hung with a belt, I think over there on 103rd or 104th off of Prairie. Gotta shout out Vintage Soul. You know, he passed away about 1.5 years ago, overdose. But we used to be out here on Slauson. There used to be a bus stop right here in front of the park, the 108, and we would be kicking it. And, you know, after work it'd be a lot of traffic. And, you know, youngsters, we was young teenagers. But Vintage always wanted to put extras on it. You know, end up talking shit, throwing shit at somebody passing by, mooning folks. And sooner or later the sheriffs would come, so we would have to run through the park. I can see way over there. Then we run all the way up these hills and then hop over these gates and walk down the other street. And then the sheriffs be in the park looking for us, and we come back hours later. I also want to acknowledge the great Master Buddha, who made his transition last year. You know, this was his main spot right here on the trail. And when he got tired of dealing with everybody else's madness, he would come hang out up here. So lay out his newspaper on the wall right here, sit on it, roll his doobies as he would call them, smoke them. But, you know, all of those were some great individuals, respectable, trustworthy, and, you know, stood up for our people one way or another, all of them. So, you know, remembering all of them. But moving forward in 2018, y'all, you know, this next week, gonna really focus on trying to hear what people gotta say. But you know, the solution is the same, y'all. When you at war, you got to eliminate or neutralize your enemy to the best you can, whether it's complete victory or whether it's concessions that are made in your favor. But that's only gonna happen as more of us come forward. So instead of getting mad at the truth or the reality of what's happening, trying to escape it, because you ain't gonna avoid it. You know, like a lot of people this past year who didn't listen to us years before that, who had to look at their children being laid to rest. You know, look at their children in a casket. That's been some of the craziest shit I've been witnessing since the 80s. More parents burying their children instead of children burying their parents, y'all. You know, but if you keep trying to evade this shit and don't prepare yourself and do what you need to do, that's where it's headed. And, you know, that's the bottom line. You know, it's not hate so much. I mean, hating the reality that we dealing with, yeah, that is part of what is being spoken out of. But is love for y'all, love for the reality that we have the power to change this. So, you know, hopefully more y'all come forward and do what y'all need to do, and let's put an end to this madness, or let's at least reduce this madness. So going into 2019, we could be talking about some better shit. Black Power.